Hey folks, my name is Rob. I'm a licensed therapist, and I wanted to talk today about social anxiety, something that I hear a lot of people coming into my sessions uh, needing help with. And I want to talk to you real quick about a couple things that come up for me as a clinician and some of my approaches. So I'm going to go real quick with this so we can get right to it. um, but social anxiety, let's see, when we show up into an interaction with somebody, right, our identity is kind of what's buttressing, what's holding us up in that interaction. And right, these things of self-acceptance, self-esteem, self-concept, self-conceptualization, these things take time, they take work. If we are raised in an environment or a household where we're misattuned by a caregiver or a parent, we're shown conditions of worth, we're not loved unconditionally, we're not respected, then we feel eggshells. We feel uneasy about what we need to do in interactions to get that approval. So then it becomes harder for some folks. That's something to understand. Like just right in a therapy session, we can look at that, right? We do timeline work, something I do lifespan integration. We get to kind of see where our imprints, our initial injuries were. Some compassion can start that process of getting us to be on our own team, to be our own best buddy, to have that space within us to welcome somebody else into our space. That's kind of what an interaction is, right? We want to be able to kind of put ourself aside, to not even consider ourselves, and to kind of open ourselves and kind of have this open. So what I was saying is, right, I think in an interaction, if we have anxiety, it's because we're inside our own frame too much and trying to figure out who to be, what to say. We have this anxiety of, right, to kind of live up to this expectation that we need to provide, which it's nice to provide in an interaction, but the way to provide is to not try to provide. The way to be confident is to not try to be confident. The way to say the right thing is not to really think about the right thing to say, if that makes sense, right? That doesn't mean to not think at all. There's a difference, right? To try too hard, it's like it just goes right out of our hand. But communication is feeling. And what it comes down to is understanding on a core level, we are communicating all the time. Even if we're trying to please somebody and we're putting on a front between us and how we truly feel inside, they're going to feel that buffer. And sometimes, right, that's a social pleasantry. There's self editing, self monitoring theory, self presentation theory. Right, Festinger talked about right this cognitive dissonance of not being congruent with how we feel inside or our beliefs, and we're kind of acting differently. So really, if we're not living a certain lifestyle that is how we truly want to be aligned inside, if we're right doom scrolling and doing these things but we're not really feeding our soul, we're going to feel anxious in front of other people. We're going to feel anxious because we're not aligned. So and that anxiety rate's maybe the answer. I know I'm on a right. um, your anxiety, your social anxiety is really telling you that there's more work that needs to be done not around people, that you'll have more stories to tell, more words to use, more life needs to build up in you more personally. And right, that means building personal private experiences. And there's something that I really like. There's an exercise that I use with clients that's called the externalizing buddy exercise experiment. Um, it's something that I've made up, and it's something that works really well. It's when you're in your own world, your own frame, you want to kind of pretend like your ideal self or an ideal person is with you, and it's a helpful reparative dialogue that happens between you and this person. They can be next to you, they're affirming your existence. Maybe if you didn't get that reparative interaction or that social mirroring, right, from unfortunate circumstances in your upbringing, you can kind of, it's like why kids imagine like they have imaginary best friends, right? I don't think that's really a bad thing. It's something that you can interact with in a way that is safe and consistent, right? And there's repetition there. So like if you're eating food per se, right? Imagine someone sitting next to you, just kind of asking you about the food and asking you what you think and asking you what you feel and what you're excited for, and kind of imagine them having your best friend's sense of humor or somebody that you idolize their sense of humor. And in this way, you're kind of now getting accustomed to socializing in a way that is personal and private to you, right? And that's something that I think is really helpful. It's like the okay buddy. It's like this person's next to you and they're saying, all right, buddy, like you're doing great. They're kind of this unconditional support. It could be just an internal voice, but you can even kind of imagine like it's even you. Like it's like the the guiding self ideal of yourself, your higher self, kind of actually sitting next to you and kind of giving you a pep talk or just being your own buddy. So that's something that you can use. Right, the externalizing buddy technique. But to create a positive self frame so that other people want to jump into yours. This isn't done necessarily by saying anything, but it's something that's felt. It means creating moments of presence with yourself and owning your felt experience with dignity and intention. So, for instance, tonight I went out and got pad thai food by myself, right? Just sat down at a restaurant. There's all the couples around. I just went by myself, right? I was busy and I stopped in. And right, no shame, no guilt, not wanting someone else to validate the beauty of that meal that I just had, right? And just having that dignity and the intention and the integrity of just enjoying that meal by yourself, not really wanting to be elsewhere. And those moments carry over, right? Whereas other people are so scattered and they need another set of eyes from other people to kind of confirm that they are doing the right thing, right? If we can actually confirm our own existence and our own worth with our own eyes in our own body, other people are going to want a piece of that, and they want to jump into our life. So, excuse me, this cough is going around, and I got it. Um, so right, that's one thing: social anxiety, social presence, social aura. It's sometimes just using words. Start reading, get a book. Kurt Vonnegut. You just go through a book, and always underline words and phrases that stick out to you, and then you can kind of maybe use them, right? I just opened to a random page, right? Ukwende's face was impassive as he ordered the number 3 breakfast. And you can add your own personality to it. His face was impassive, dude. Impassive. Have fun with it. Use your own voice. I don't know. That was not great, right? But like, figure it out yourself and make it your own, Here's another one, right? They were cheerful and unafraid because of the tube of Norwegian hemorrhoid remedy, which they had eaten about a half an hour before. I don't know, right? But cheerful and unafraid, right? I never really thought to use those two words together. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but now they're there, right? I was cheerful and unafraid. Beautiful. Vonnegut. Right here, right? I love this book though. It's full of life and a merry one, said Kilgore Trout, right? How's life? How you doing? Full of life and a merry one. Right? Like, interacting doesn't even need to make sense, right? I'm Italian, and sometimes the things that we say are just noises. Oh, right, and it's what feels right from your soul. So just study yourself, study what feels right, what's within your wheelhouse, and have fun with it, right? I use IFS therapy, the 8 C's and the 5 P's, right? Sometimes your social anxiety is because it's actually leading you away from people to explore your rich inner world more, right? Maybe we're supposed to feel anxious. Interacting is hard. People are complex. People are puzzles, right? And we have to kind of figure out how to puzzle ourselves into them. So we have to kind of build that bridge. Now there's skills and techniques, right? There's basic fata conversation skills that we use, right? Proper attunement, half smile, acting interested in the other person, using their name at the end of a sentence, right? Having an easy body posture, having an easy manner, using light humor, right? Not having deadpan speak, kind of looking into their left eye, just attuning to the mirror neuron, like mirroring them, and they're kind of not right parroting them, but kind of not being stiff, but kind of having a relaxed body posture, trusting the body. And a lot of times, we communicate empathy through our own body. So if we're able to kind of feel at ease and at home in ourselves, in our own body, right? And this doesn't, more open, kind of like this, or just being at ease and fluid in our body, people are going to kind of roll off of that fluidity and kind of allow them to now learn from our self-love and self-homement of our own body, that they too can feel at ease, right? Because people are stifled sometimes. So I think Nietzsche talked about that one of the best ways to communicate empathy, not that he's the most empathetic person, is to do it through your body, right? By just, he said something like that. I mean, he said a lot of things, but no, it's communicating empathy through your body by being at ease in your own body. It disarms other people. So, um, right. So yeah, reading books, and right, and one thing that he always says here is "and so on." It's just like "and so on," right? At a lot of the end of his paragraphs, and my grandmother would always say "go on," but she would do it in this voice, and I just like that's one thing that she always said, probably unconscious to her, that always stuck with me. And right, people have their own little quibs and catchphrases and things that they say. So right, maybe we're anxious because we just haven't figured those things out yet, and you're anxious because it's actually a signal, or it's actually something, it's an alarm that's trying to get you to be better. So really it's your friend. It's just not something to worry about so much, right? The more that we can hold that anxiety within us and kind of identifies, yeah, I'm a little anxious right now, right? It's okay, it's there, it's a protective thing. It's there trying to get me to do the right thing and say the right thing. Thank it. It's just a part of you. It's just kind of trying to protect maybe a part of you when you were a kid at home, where you couldn't speak up, you couldn't express yourself, it wasn't safe. That anxiety is there because it was born when you were very young, and it's on duty, and it's tired of doing its job, right? So thank it, right? Greet it. Maybe learn the exile or the pain that is trying to protect underneath. That's some of the deeper inner child work that we do in therapy and IFS therapy. This cough is pretty bad. I'm glad you're not here with me. You're on the screen, so you can't get it. But IFS is great too. The 8 C's, the 5 P's, right? Having presence, perspective, persistence, right? Playfulness. Playfulness is learning the words. Persistence is, right, always showing up for yourself and continuing to try to do the work. And, right, if we're so socially anxious, right, is it the people that we're interacting with? Do they just suck? Maybe they do. Maybe they're have an unspoken agenda and they're judging you. They're just not your lot of people. They're not your archetype, right? Maybe, right, going to a therapist, or you can establish a safe, secure attachment in that bond, and you can start being mirrored and kind of reflected and attuned to in a certain way that can give you the understanding of what it means to have repetition and to have somebody that just cares, right? Unfortunately, some people were born into situations where they weren't shown the proper attunement, and therefore they have this vestigial angst that they need to perform a certain way to be considered worthy of conversation or just checking it, which is terrible because everyone deserves proper attention, affection, love. Hopefully that's a couple things that could be helpful if you are somebody that's struggling with social anxiety. Again, my name is Rob. I'm going to post some videos on some of the tactics and theories that I use. And hit that like, share, subscribe, whatever you got to do to just follow along. I'm going to keep posting videos like this. So I'll see you next time. Thanks.